Welcome to the Review with JoAnn Company, featuring conversations with best-selling authors as well as the hottest reviews with the authors you choose. We're inspiring the world through Christian literature. Stay logged on. We'd like to know, what are you reading?
Hello. Once again, welcome to the review. I'm Joy. As always, I am delighted to be in the midst of your company. Well, we're very excited here on the review tonight because we're starting our 11th season of the Christian Literary Awards. We haven't quite finished our 10th one. We're going to culminate that with the 10th Annual Christian Literary Awards on October 16th. Make sure you're there because it's going to be a grand time. But right now, we've got to keep moving on. So tonight, in this hour, is the first author for the 2022 year. I'm so excited, and you're not gonna believe this, right? Okay, but it's a children's book. Yes. How funny is that? Well, we just spent the entire month of July reviewing the 14 entries that we have in the children categories for this year's CLAs, and now we're starting off the new season with our first review being a children's book. Well, we'll get to that in one moment, but first, let's say hello to Rosemary LeGrand.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
And Rose Lewis.
Top of the evening to you.
I just love her. You look good in that purple, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, guys, we're streaming live here from Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas, and we're streaming on none other than the Fishbowl Radio Network, the largest personality-driven network in the world, and it gives us great pleasure to come to you by way of the fbrn.us. Well, we're going to jump in the stream tonight and visit with JoAnn Vicknair. And it's so cool. We met this beautiful lady at the National Religious Broadcasting Convention in June, right? Early June. And late June? Okay, late June.
23rd.
Oh, yeah, that's late June. You're right, Rose. And I tell you, it was a wonderful experience. Rosemary had been a couple of times, but it was the first time for Rose and I. We met wonderful authors, and JoAnn Vicknair is one of those. But I'm going to tell you something really special about her before we jump into the stream with her, because one thing that makes her really special, guys, is she's from my neck of the woods. She's originally a Texas girl, so I don't want to take that away from her, but she's coming to us tonight by way of Southern Louisiana, right next to where I grew up in Booty, and you're in Homer, right?
Reserve,
right. Oh, that's even closer.
It is.
So she's right across the river from me in Reserve, Louisiana. So, like I said, truly my neck of the woods. Well, JoAnn says that she's an ordinary grandmother, but there's nothing ordinary about her because she's given us a wonderful book entitled It's Storytime, Memaw, and we're going to talk about it tonight. JoAnn, it gives me great pleasure to say welcome to the review.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And good seeing you again. It was so much fun at NRB, wasn't it? I'm telling you, that was so much fun.
I can't wait until March.
I know, well, she's really ready.
Yes.
It'll be here pretty soon.
Yes.
Yeah, but we enjoyed meeting you, and
Thank you.
just delighted too. This is a beautiful book, you guys. It's so pretty. I'm telling you, you want this book just because it's so pretty, all right? This is can become a wonderful, what do you call that, coffee table book. It's you know how when you have little children and you buy this big book of fairy tales, Mother Goose rhymes, and the old lady who lived in the shoe? This is the new book for that. It replaces that, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
but you know
yes.
What?
It speaks to everybody.
It does.
It really
Which
does.
makes it even more special.
I mean, if you had it on the coffee table, it's very possible a guest could pick it up and get convicted.
Yes, yeah, and get saved.
Yes.
You know, get encouraged.
It covers everything that God has to offer.
It does. And it does it on a level that you can read it, bedtime stories to your children.
Yes.
I tell you, JoAnn, don't let me go on and on. Tell us about your book. You tell us about it.
Oh, well, it's a God thing. It is a God thing. I tell you, I prayed intensely. You know, when our families fall apart and we have problems, we really go to prayer, right?
Right.
And that's where this book started. It was out of heartache and concern for my family, and I just got on my knees and prayed a lot. And when I heard James Dobson on the radio talk about reaching your children for Christ at a young age, when they came to visit, it was like God spoke to me. I was compelled to give them Jesus.
Yes.
And so I prayed. I stopped and I prayed, God, give me a story of you. They need you in their lives. Help them draw closer to you. And God answered. They loved the story. And so every time they came to visit, I would stop and pray. And this went on for 8 years. Wow. 8 years. I got so tired of hearing it. But, you know, of course, today I'm really glad they did. But God, in March 2020, I started printing up some of the stories because my journal was falling apart. And while they were printing off, I was praying at the kitchen table. I remember it vividly. And I heard him speak, as I'm speaking to you, have them published. And I said, God, you want me to have this published? How awesome is this? So that's how the book came about. I'm really pretty quiet. I can talk one-on-one, but not to, a lot of people. But, when you talk about Jesus, you have to get excited when you talk about Jesus. And, I tell people I love to brag on God, and I am so encouraged by what he's used these stories to do for my grandchildren. And recently, within the last year or so, they've both been saved and accepted Jesus as Savior. So, and it was after that that God said, have them published. And I thought, you did this for my children. How amazing are you? And I was so satisfied and so, just elated. But then to know he wants this for others is just, above and beyond anything I could have hoped for or imagined.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's
I love
amazing.
how-
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, we all excited about this book. I love how you don't leave salvation at the altar. You take it and you put it out in life.
Yes.
When I see the young boy that leads another kid,
That was
to
my daddy.
Christ.
That was a true
Yes.
story.
Wow.
Yes.
That was so awesome. I was
good.
like, oh my God, this is so good. It is so good.
Yes, it's, I say it's 45 stories. There's 44 chapters, but that first introduction is the story of how it all came about, and it's told through my grandson's eyes. And several of the stories are told through the children's eyes.
Yes.
But, yeah.
And it's so beautiful because it taught me that when you're on a mission for Christ, he's gonna get you to where you need to get.
Right.
Because you are going to that publisher, and then all this excitement happens. So give us that. Tell us about that story.
Oh, wow.
It's really funny.
That was fun.
Oh, that was. I tell you, I thought when I had them together, I would pass them off and somebody else would have them published, and that's where we were going with that. Well, I'll say it on the radio. I didn't put it in the book, but this family came to mind that was in business. Duck Dynasty, Robertson. And I thought, well, Lord, you want them to do this? So I'm thinking them. So I called, and they were open. And I grabbed those papers, and I took off because they were open. And they said, sure, come on. I talked to the lady there, but I did not get to meet them. And they did not publish the book. Okay. But I got the papers there, and I thought we were going there. But later, someone from church introduced me or gave me the name of Ginger Sanders. She is an author, a Christian author. She is a volunteer for Franklin Graham Samaritan's Purse, and she led me to Carpenter's Son, and through Carpenter's Son came Joni Baker with Buoyancy PR, and she got me to Shannon Donestay with the PR person, because I've never done social media. I had to buy a computer. I had to learn how to use it, and it's all March 2020 COVID. I had no idea what I was doing, and I tell people, I'm an author because my name's on the book, but really I'm just a grandmother that loved her grandchildren and needed them, compelled to give them Christ. God made me the author. I was on my knees many times in tears. I mean, in tears, because I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember looking up to God and saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I wanted to please my God. I wanted to be obedient. I called some prayer warriors. They got me through it. And later, God spoke to me and he said, JoAnn, you're right. You couldn't. You never could. This is of me and not you. And I will never forget that.
Well, JoAnn, to be the woman who could not do this, I have to say, girl, you did this thing.
God got me through it,
You did this thing.
There we go.
Wow.
Because it is very well written, very
thank
well
you.
put together.
Very well.
Beautiful stories. Each one of them have a very special meaning. And I know we all have probably one that's very dear to my heart. But I'd like to talk about number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8. And it was very dear to my heart. A shark.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
God, yes.
Let's talk about a shark. And I'll just tell you why that was very dear to my heart, because my dad was a fisherman. And God knows I miss him terribly, immensely. Let me say that, not terribly, but immensely. Mm-hmm. And as a little girl, it brought me back to my young girl days when I would go trawling with my dad, and we would be in the boat in that water and just pulling up.
Another whole world.
When I was reading, I thought about you when I was reading.
So I was just like feeling this little girl. Of course, I didn't grow up like she did to have a boat of my own, but I still love the water a lot. So let's talk about a shark.
Okay. My dad did teach me how to run a boat, and we fished. He lived in Texas, and we fished the Bean and Intercoastal and what have you. But when I got to Louisiana, my husband was like, "You want to get a boat?" And I'm like, "Sure." Well, he wanted to do freshwater fishing, and I wasn't much on that. Hot, little canals. I liked saltwater fishing, and he wasn't much on that.
Big girl.
So he didn't like it, and I thought, I'm doing this. I'm not going to be timid. I'm not going to stop doing what I love because I'm afraid to go by myself. I'll do it. So I did. I went many times, but that was the first time I went way out there.
Yes.
And the island, Last Isle, no longer exists. It's more of a reef. It's completely covered because hurricane took it out. And I parked on the opposite side of it, and I had 3 lines out this way and my line out that way, and I was sitting on the cushioned cooler and drinking my Coke, and all of a sudden, all 4 lines just took off and went pop, pop, pop. And I thought, oh my, the fish are here. This is going to be great. And I was about to get up and start reeling and re-spooling when all of a sudden, fish were jumping out of the water, splashing sounds. And I looked and I thought, what in the world? And all of a sudden, coming through this way was this huge dorsal fin and then this huge tail fin. And I was paralyzed in fear. I was paralyzed. I had to stop. And I thought, I'm not supposed to be afraid, but I was terrified. And it took me a while to get it together, gather up those poles, put them up. And I remember telling God, you get me out of here. I will never come this far out by myself again. There was not another boat in sight. I went during the middle of the week because nobody's there usually, right. And I don't want to be bothered, and because I'm slow at unloading the boat and launching the boat, moving the truck, and all of that. So he got me back in a ways, and I got closer in. I felt better. I re-anchored. I fished, and I had the best time with God. I danced on my boat. I sang at the top of my lungs. There's no one to make fun of me. God and I had a good time.
The thing that tickled me was the speed you put on that boat.
I mean, all the way down as fast as I could get in.
I could just see you.
Oh. And then I thought my husband's going to kill me. You know, what was I thinking? And
If I make it there.
Oh, wow.
You know, you're much braver than I could ever be. I want to go fishing, okay, but I need someone to come with me. I would not dare try to do it by myself. Even today, bank fishing, not by myself. I do love it, though. And I love being out in the boat with my dad. It's lots of fun. So, and to your question, freshwater or saltwater, you know, my dad kind of did a lot of freshwater fishing, but he did both, you know. And so the cool thing about being in New Orleans, you might start out in freshwater.
There you go.
You know, so you
have
start
it all.
out in fresh water, but then you're going to end up, you're going to go through the brackish water, and then you're going to eventually end up in salt water. So you kind of get a knack for both of them coming from southern Louisiana and getting out in that water. So it is truly a world of its own, but it's a beautiful world. So thank you for sharing that story.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
that's awesome. Are we okay over there?
Yeah.
All right, we're good. I'm looking at Rose and Rosemary's faces, but you know, you guys need to come on and join this fishing story.
Now we do, yes, I love that fish. I love the fishing story.
Like I said, the studio is quite lit tonight.
It's quite lit. Okay, all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so we just had a little fire.
We had a little fire.
Shark.
Yeah.
I love the story about Eric. Eric goes to prison.
Eric goes to prison.
Because there was such beauty in that. It didn't start it off as beauty, though.
No.
Because his father didn't want to believe, you know, that he was doing whatever. And sometimes parents are in denial because you want to say, my kids will never do that.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But sometimes at the end of it, you know, it's painful. You know, but what I loved about it is the fact that even though he went to prison, he accepted Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior of his life. And the thing that really touched me is the fact that the Word of God says, all things may not be for good, but all things work together for good, for those that love the Lord and those that are called according to his purpose. And I think that's what happened to Eric. And out of that, you know, there was forgiveness, you know, there was salvation, and I'll let you tell the rest of the story.
Well, one thing I want to say before she goes to it is, when I was reading that story and I got to the end and I realized the joy that salvation had brought him and how excited he was when his friend and his dad and them came to see him, and he was so excited to tell them about what salvation had did for him. And I thought about when he was before the judge, he had no remorse. He didn't think he had done anything wrong.
There you go.
And I'm thinking, he's serving 25 years.
Yes.
He needs to do an appeal because now he's ready and he has remorse. And I think he can get out early. I'm sitting there thinking, where is his attorney? That's another story. They need to try to get him out.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because he's at a different place now.
Right. I wanted the children to know God is here.
Yes.
And you're going to come through all sorts of things. You're going to have friends. You're going to make bad decisions. God is always there. He's always ready to step in. And I wanted them to see that in story form. So that's how that story came about. Yeah. And you're still friends. Yes. You know, he's still friends with Johnny and all. So, yeah. And I really like the one about drugs.
That's what I had. Look, I had it open right now.
My grandson was like, Memaw, I didn't think you were going to have him die. And I said, I know. Isn't it sad, you know? And I said, but one really bad decision can ruin a life. Yes. I want you to know that now. You know, now know that. So, I think it made an impression upon them. And I'm sure that story's not for really, really young people, but it depends on, who's reading it to them and how you're talking to them.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
that young can start real young.
Yes,
See.
indeed.
That could happen to a 10-year-old and 11-year-old
indeed.
in the tween stage these
Yes.
days.
Right.
Right.
Because those guys came to that party with those drugs and were enticing the kids,
Indeed.
Yes.
trying to get them. And his friend tried to tell him, "Don't do it, Wesley, don't do it."
Right.
He tried to get him to leave. And he goes to call his dad to get help. And in the meantime, he takes the drugs anyway because of his curiosity. So I think it's a message to children. Don't let curiosity take you too far. Because curiosity could be the last time you get to try to be curious.
That's
as
right.
it was in
Yes,
Wesley's
yes.
case.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You didn't know how much he had taken. His body, he didn't know. He wasn't equipped for that.
That's right. And then when the mother, the poor mom, called Johnny
Call Johnny, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and asked
To
him to
speak.
speak at the funeral.
Can you imagine? You were the friend. He tried, it made an impression. And that's what I hope they remember,
But the thing about it is he had such a beautiful story. The message he gave to when he got on stage was to all of the young people.
Indeed.
This could be you.
Yes.
That's
How
right.
to
Yes.
make wise choices.
That's right.
Exactly.
Because
Yes.
that one choice made wrong, you're not here anymore.
Right. God gave me these stories, and I'm telling you, when I was typing up that was one that came at the end. I thought I was about done. God gave me that story, and I was typing, thinking I'm going to go this way. And I said, "Oh, no, do this." And I was like, "Oh, yes, that's so much better."
Yes.
And it was the mama having to call Johnny and so forth. So, yeah.
But when we started off, Rose mentioned that it's really not just a children's book, that it's a good book
Yes.
for the youth and young
Yes.
adults.
Yes.
It's a good book for tweens,
Tweens.
and it's an even better book for anyone who would pick up and read the book, even if you're an adult. There's messages, there's lessons, there's moments in between these pages that will minister to you, speak to you, and bless you.
True.
So. And it's real.
It's
that,
real.
like Rose said, that our young people every day, someone somewhere is dying too young for a mistake, a decision that wasn't a good one.
A good kid. A good kid.
Good kid.
One decision.
One
One
decision.
decision. Yeah.
And that's the same thing that when I read about Robin and Sandra too, because of peer pressure. All that she had to go through at school, And I'm thinking sometimes because of peer pressure, we forget who we are, and then we just want to follow the leader or do things, just so that, we can fit in,
Right.
But then there are consequences.
Yes.
We have to remember there are consequences, and that's what happened to Robin. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have to say hello to some people, Rose?
Yes, we do. And I'm just wanting to keep going.
Yeah.
Dr. Benita Vincent, I'm sorry.
Yes. What about today?
Stella Alexander, Christopher Pop Curry, and Karen Shield says, wonderful show, blessings. And Stella Alexander says, that's the kind of God we serve.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And Dr. Benita Vincent, when I said that it was immediate conviction, she says, wow, immediate conviction. And she said hello to all of us.
Yes.
Yes, I'm back.
Well, thank you all for jumping in the
Yes.
stream with us tonight. We're visiting with JoAnn Vicknair, and we're talking about her book, It's Storytime, Memaw. And that's a call from the young to the wise. This is a terrific, and I do mean terrific, and I don't remember using that word before to describe a book.
Yeah.
Did I ever?
No, I haven't ever heard you
Okay,
use
because
that.
I come up with some words here. But this is a terrific book. It's not only for the children, like Rose said, the youth and young adult, anybody in your household. Keep it all open. on your coffee table because it's so pretty and there's so much wisdom, so much fun even inside. Lots and lots of fun. Stories that you can read to your children and they can read to each other or themselves. It's just a good buy all the way around. Visit us at joanncompany.org to get your copy. And also, ladies, we need to talk about a couple of things,
Yes.
huh? Rose, how you doing with those readers?
I need 21 more.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
We need, okay,
And I'm
she
working
needs
it.
21 more readers. Now, last time I checked, we had a list. You said you're not accustomed to speaking in front of crowds, but the last time I checked, I think we were at a listenership of about last week, 79, was it 79? 7,900 people. So you're talking to a few people tonight. But, okay, all 7,900 people out there, we only need 21 more readers. And it doesn't matter where you are. But at this late stage, I hope you're in the United States because we don't want to ship out of the country this late. But if you're anywhere in the United States and you'd like to read for us, we need 21 more readers. So, visit us at joanncompany.org. Contact us. Yell. Go on your porch and yell, I want to read.
Well, you know what? I'm grabbing them any way I can.
Yes.
I had a man come today to change out my lock for my alarm.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he was changing out the lock. I said, do you like to read? Do your wife read? He said, well, she really don't read. I read. I said, you do? What do you like to read? I said, come on over here. Tell me what you like to read. Pick out one of these books. He left with David Noel's book. He was excited about it. And he said, I was going to go to Half Price Books the other day with my wife, and I knew it was going to take too long because when I get in there, I get carried away. I said, I have solved the problem. And you can finish this and you can get another one. So
I love
the
it.
serviceman left with a book, and he's now a reader.
He's now, see that? You can read. Come on. Hit us up. We need a few
Anybody
more
walking
readers.
through my door is getting called.
I love it.
The mother dear had visitors. Her grandkids came to see her, and one of them left with 3 books. I'm getting anybody walk through my door. You read.
You read.
Yeah. I plan to get them 21 readers this week.
You know what? I was speaking to someone today, and I didn't know how many more readers we needed, but I said, we're always looking for readers, and we're going to have all of those books out and in the readers' hands by the end of this week.
Yes.
So come on, joanncompany.org. All you have to do is say, hi, Rose, I'd like to read. Send me some books, and we'll get those books to you. So good job, Rose.
Good job,
She's done
Rose.
a miraculous job. I want you to know I added it up, and I think it's like roughly 230 books to hand out this year.
Oh, wow.
To get people to, getting readers for. So we're not complaining here. We're excited because that's a lot of growth for us.
Yes,
a lot of books
indeed.
this year,
And
a lot of authors, a lot of
lot of
categories. Yes, it's a lot of work. We work all year long, and right now we are in high gear because, tell us about the CLAs this year.
CLAs this
Rosemary.
year. We are excited about the CLAs. It's October the 16th. The doors open at 4:30. It's at 1500 Convention Center Drive in Arlington.
Yes.
And tickets are on sale. You can purchase your ticket right now on Joy and I do apologize, on ChristianLiteraryAwards.com.
Yes.
Now it's going to be a special time. I want to give a shout out to the authors, the nominees. We are so excited for you. We are putting out that red carpet especially for you.
Right.
So we are excited about that.
Yeah.
So we are calling readers for Rosie.
Calling readers. It's just really going to be a
It's a special
year
time, yes.
Because we're celebrating 10 years, you guys.
Yeah.
And I like it because we're doing something we've never done before.
Yes.
What's that?
Yes.
We're sitting down.
Sitting
at
down.
a hotel. Having dinner.
Having dinner with awesome entertainment. Awesome entertainment.
Baby, you are really busy. I don't know how you forgot. But we're going to sit down and eat and relax that night.
We're going to have a good time.
We are. And we're working very, very hard. So
And we're going to have Stellar Entertainment, too.
Stellar Entertainment. And you know
yes.
what? We can announce who we're having now. You guys ready to let it out? Or you want to let the flyer go out first?
Let the flyer go out first.
Okay, we'll let the flyer go out
Rosemary's Call.
first. Yeah, okay, because you're going to get the flyers tomorrow.
And then we can jump in next week.
And then
Oh,
we
it's going to
can-
be Rose. No? Are you going to be here next week? Just two of us?
I don't know.
I don't know
Okay.
either. What is
Okay.
next week?
Okay, let's talk about the CLEs.
Okay, we're finished.
Yeah, we're
We're
excited.
Well, we're going to be at the Sheraton in Arlington, like Rosemary said, and it's going to be a blast. So make plans to join us.
But then
Check it
again,
out.
if you wanna unveil, you can unveil. You just have to pay me.
Okay, well, let's do
Well,
it. I
you
tell
know
you what,
what?
let's do one at a time.
One
Let's
at a
build
time.
this thing. Okay?
Yeah.
So, every year we have that whole fabulous, just wonderful jazz pianist. I love him to death. Joe McCrae. I don't love him to death. I love him to life. Joe McCrae and the Fast Track Records band is going to be joining us, and it's just so wonderful. If you love music, you'll have a great time this
Yeah,
year.
Because
we're
he
excited.
Joe
he is talented beyond talented.
He is.
Yeah,
he
and I
is.
think in the next couple of weeks we're going to start playing some of our the featured artists
Music.
and we'll even have a Monday where we visit with each of our entertainers. So we're really pulling out the red carpet for you guys this year on more levels than one.
And I want to tell them,
Go ahead.
don't sit around and wait till the last
Yes.
minute
Yeah.
thinking I'll get a ticket.
Yes,
Because it's limited seating.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
And if you wait till the last minute, you might not get to roll on the red carpet.
with us.
Yeah, because
Or
I
sit down.
really do want to interject that because this year we are not having any tickets sold at the door.
Oh, yes.
So you must go online. As Rose said, it's limited seating. So if you don't get your ticket and we're sold out, it's got to be 2022. And I know you don't want that.
You don't want to
You
wait
don't want to wait that long.
So
Producer get a free ticket?
does the producer get a free ticket? Wow. Question
He's an
of the hour.
awesome producer.
He's an
Now that he
awesome
is.
producer.
He's an
He
awesome
really is.
producer.
You know what?
What?
I think the three of us can chip in together and buy him a ticket.
Yeah, we'll do that, producer Duke. You the best.
All right, Duke. But you know what? I'm going to be asking for some favors, all right?
Every time I've gone to an event for one of our hosts, I'll always end up doing something for them. Like 99, they ended up needing me to like completely manage their whole award show.
Oh,
I
really?
got to do all the slideshows and everything.
Oh, goodness, goodness,
my
goodness.
goodness, my
You know
I
what?
think that Duke is tall enough to be up, standing up, to make sure that no one is taping when they're not supposed to be,
Yes.
or taking pictures when they're not supposed to be. Because when Duke stands up over him, he's big, and I think they'll put their phones up.
Well,
Position.
yeah, Duke, I think we can squeeze
Position.
out a ticket for
We
you.
can,
we
yeah,
want you
yeah,
there
we
under
want you
any
there.
circumstances. And Fishbowl Radio Network is going to be doing a live remote for the Christian Literary Awards
there
that
to do
night.
it.
So, it's going to be awesome, you guys. We'll be radio-vised all night long.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I make
It's
up
gonna
words.
be
I
awesome.
do that too. Well, time is being far spent, Rose.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Okay.
We've gotten so excited about 2021. We need to get back to 2022.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's
And I was the main one telling you how this book spans beyond children and young adults. And the story I think that I want to share that does it is Big-Eared Brad Bender.
They love that
my
story.
goodness.
Yes.
What page is that on?
It's on 167. Okay. And, everybody had made fun of Brad because of his big ears. But
Huge
Brad-
ears, really
yeah,
big ears.
Yeah, they was huge ears.
Yeah.
They were
Like our former president, Barack Obama.
No, they were bigger than that.
They were
They're-
bigger than
they're-
him.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, they're big
look,
ears.
you take a look at them right there on the
Well,
page.
I see that, but
Yeah,
that's
they
a
huge.
cartoon right
Yeah,
there.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is real, Joe.
All right.
This is it. But he accepted who he was.
Yeah.
And he was such as a kid, he was great, but he went on to be a great man. He went and got a job working for this company.
He had great character.
Yes. And he was to work on time every day, ahead of time, at least 15 minutes. He didn't even complain when other people didn't do their work. He just get it done.
He did it.
And go on and do it.
Yes.
And he just went about his business being an employee. Not thinking he was noticed,
That's
not
right.
thinking nobody paid him any attention. But Mr. Glass, the owner, was paying attention.
My daddy's name is Mr. Glass.
That was your daddy?
It's not a true story, but I threw his name in there because my grandchildren knew him.
Yes.
And Papa Joe. So Mr. Glass, he doesn't miss anything. And he had a company, so it made it extra special.
Special to them. And he got older, and he didn't have, this Mr. Glass, didn't have any children. And he needed to know what was he going to do with his company. And he had a breakfast that morning, donuts and coffee, had everybody come in. He even came in early himself that day, and Brad was wondering, why is he here early? Because he was here, he was early all the time, but nobody else was with him. And he called in the meeting, and then he began to tell everybody about how, you know, he needed to pass his company on to somebody that was going to care about it, that cared about the business, that loved the company, what it represented. And everybody, all the supervisors, you know, chestnut.
There you go.
Oh, I'm next.
I've been here forever. It's mine.
Coming up. I've been here forever. Yeah, it's going to be me. And he called out Big-Eared Brad.
Big-Eared Brad.
And Big-Eared Brad was he was just overwhelmed because he never knew that he noticed him.
Right.
But he did. And I think this is a message to everybody that's employed. Do your best.
Right.
Show up early, Rose. Show up early, Rose. Show up early. Because
Who came in late tonight?
Yeah, because you never know who's watching.
You never know.
And you never know what stepping stone it may be for you just because somebody noticed.
That's right. And the children really liked the fact that they treated him ugly at work. They ignored him, laughed at him, left the room.
But then after he got to be the owner, they want to be,
Yes,
"Hey,
sir.
Mr. Ben, how you doing? Good morning."
There you go. There you go.
I mean, I was into this story.
I could tell.
Yes. I mean, I was into a lot of the
I was
stories.
about to say,
And they
all of the stories are rewarding like that. So
Yes,
really
all
a
of
great
them.
job that
Yeah.
you did.
Thank you.
But when you move Rose Lewis, that's a mountain right there. You moved the mountain.
Yeah.
See, my hope was my parents, they went through a separation, they did divorce, and my heart just broke for them. So my thought was, give them Jesus, they'll be able to handle this. I wanted them to see God in everything, because he is in everything.
Yes.
So everyday situations, I wanted them to see him, and that's where some of these stories came from. Half of them are true and they're marked, but the other half were things such as this. God sees. God doesn't miss a thing. You cannot hide anything from him, and he will bless.
That's
those.
Bill and Joe. You know the story about Bill and Joe. You know, sometimes because he was suffering from this infirmity. You know,
That was my next one. That's what I was coming with.
Mr.
That was
Burns'
my
buddies?
next
Story.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
that was a beautiful story. You know.
And you know, my grandson at a very early age kind of gave me that one, because I told so many stories. One time I said, "You tell a story." And he sat there for a minute. He didn't want to do it. And he said, "Okay." He told me about Memaw. You're 90 years old, and Mommy is 80 years old, and y'all have a kid, and she has a kid, and one of you dies early, but you found Jesus right at the last minute, so everybody's in heaven. I mean, he was very young when he said that, and I thought, okay, I'd been 10 when I had her, but whatever. But his point was, he found Jesus, the person found Jesus right at that last minute at 80 years old, and it was like, that kind of came to me for that one, and so, yes.
I love that you were 90, she was 80, and one of you went at an early age.
Right.
I love that part.
Right.
This, you know, it's just so wonderful when you dedicate something to God And, there's a song that makes reference to this, and it says, little becomes much when you place it in the master's hands. And you think that what you have to offer is just nothing. It's a little bit of something, and God will blow it up, and it will become much. People still ask me, I don't know if they ask you guys, but they still ask me, you still have that little book club? And it tickles me to even hear that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we do. And I don't want people to stop asking me about that little book club, because that little book club has become so much, and it has spread and infected and inspired people and touched people across the globe. And so, I still have that little book.
There you go.
So tell us, JoAnn, what story was your favorite? What story really speaks to you closest?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many. One of the dearest ones, though, is the horrible, awful scream, Dad. The crawfishing story. That was the true story of my husband's grandson when he was 4, and he got swept under the water and caught in the culverts at the Bonnie Carey Spillway and being swept out towards, to Lake Pontchartrain.
Yes.
That was such a long time he was underwater going through the culverts. I cannot imagine the heartache and the fear and the terror in Mom and Dad's eyes. He was out there struggling to try to find him, running, jumping, digging. I mean, everything to find him, and could not find him. And Mom, she was praying, and he was praying too, I'm sure. And that point where he sees a boot pop up, the point where he gets to it, the point where he reaches in and he can grab a foot, but he cannot get a grip. To come up during that time, take a deep breath and go back under. And then for him to tell us at the emergency room, that was the most scared he had ever been. That was, you can imagine, And he reached in, he grabbed that leg, and he whipped him right out. And praise God, praise God. That was a miracle. That was a miracle. God still reaches down from heaven. He is still the miracle maker. That one.
Is a beautiful
It's a beautiful story.
That is a tear-jerking story.
It reminds me of
it really is.
The book we had that went into a movie. The boy that fell in the ice.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I can't think of the name of it
His name is Smith. I know
but
that.
it was
I took the kids to see it. Yes.
Under
the
We
water.
interviewed him.
Oh, did you?
The Impossible.
The Impossible.
Was that it? The
That was the name of the book.
The Impossible.
And we interviewed the pastor, his pastor, and
Yes.
the mom. They came here.
And he stayed underwater for a very long time. I think it was a little over 30 minutes.
Half an hour or so.
Yes.
Yes.
It
And
was
his
a little
mom
over 30 minutes.
walked in there and prayed.
Yes.
Right.
Great. I
Power of
think
a mom.
all of your stories are God stories. All of them. Every single one of them. Because I was reading about, I think, Paul and Johnny.
Yes.
And Mr. Burns.
Yes.
That was a God story. Because what I loved about it is the fact that they prayed and prayed and prayed until they got to that boy, and they were able to be rescued, and it made me realize that God's word is true. When we actually pray, he listens and he hears and he rescues, and he, go ahead. No.
Prayer is much. I tell my grandkids, prayer is everything. It's taking all we have to God, to God Almighty. And, when I talk to people about the book, I said, really, all I did was pray. Really, that's all I did. I'm not creative and all that. Yes. I prayed and God answered. He did this and all those other things. And that's what I want the children to know. Develop that relationship with Jesus. I tell them all the time, King David, yes, he was a great king. But when he was a child, he walked with sheep day in, day out. He was out at pasture. He laid around and he just talked to God. And he made up songs and he sang. And I tell them, oh, Jesus wants to hear you. Make up a song for him and I'll sing one for him. Nobody else, but I'll sing in front of them. But that was this book to help them know he is just right here. I tell you, God's given me more stories. These are for older children. And when I went to NRB, it was so amazing because God let me know then, do not save those stories. You release those stories.
Yes.
And I couldn't wait to get home. I tweaked them. I got them ready. I recorded them. They're on my podcast. It's Storytime Memaw with the Truth Network with Robbie Dilmore.
Yeah.
And I'm just releasing them. As he gives them, I'm releasing them.
Yes,
and I'm thinking, what a blessing that is.
It is. It is. You
Yes.
know,
And these are more biblical, and they're more detailed, and the word's escaping me now, but some of them have little warnings early on because I don't want people to confuse this book for younger people with that book. So I give a little warning at the beginning. In this episode, King Herod is eaten by worms.
Okay.
You know, that sort of thing, so that kids don't hear something else. But God.
Look at that. Look at
It is God. I love to brag on him. I do. I am nobody. I am 60 years old. Who knew? God did. That pain I had, God used. He turns beauty, ashes into beauty. You know, and for anybody that just doesn't know, talk to your kids and your grandchildren. Tell them stories, even if you can't, because I couldn't. Say a prayer. God will give it to you. You can draw them in, and they love it when you tell them about somebody they know.
They do. They do.
Amen.
We gotta wind this down, Rose.
Let me go one more story. Just one more. I can do it quick.
Quick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's about Joe and Bill, the very first story.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
You know, and Joe, quickly, he was good at everything. He was a great swimmer. He was a great ball player. He just did everything.
He did it all. Muscle up.
Everybody loved Joe. Everybody. Joe. And Bill could beat Joe at swimming.
And nobody else could.
And nobody else could.
And Joe was my daddy, and that's a true story.
Oh, and the thing about it, Joe couldn't understand why Bill was always so happy.
Right.
Because he didn't have any legs. But
Bill
he could beat him swimming.
was born without legs. He had no legs to kick with when he swam, and my daddy couldn't beat him no matter what. And my daddy just point blank told him, you should feel sad. I feel sad for you. You live in a wheelchair. You can't do blah, blah, blah. You should feel sad. And he told him, no, I have Jesus.
Yes, I have Jesus.
Yes.
And we're going to
That was
not
good.
tell anymore. It was good. And it
was
is
good.
a lot better. We just left out a whole lot. So you have to visit us at JoAnnCompany.org to get your copy of It's Storytime Memaw. We'll have to do a double week next time.
That's okay. That's
JoAnn, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for
being
joining
here.
us.
Yes.
We're so happy
Thank
that
you.
you're here. So glad to review your book.
Thank you.
Guys, listen, we've got to go. We'll be back next week with new authors, new books. Until then, hugs, kisses. God bless you.
Bye-bye.